Right, we're going to do a, well, I'd say quick video talking about the settings in PlanetSide. VR's a bit dead at the moment, so I might just jump straight into it. So finding the correct settings is kind of important. Now, I've done a video like this in the past. Not much has changed, but I'm just updating, doing an updated video. As with all my videos, I don't take them too serious, but I try and give the correct content. So if anybody sees me doing anything wrong or thinks I should talk about something, then put it in the comments, because I'm only human. You know, I do try, but sometimes I miss bits. You know, it's really hard to get it 100%. So yeah. So I'm going to talk about settings. Now, finding the correct settings is important, because I feel like from the offset, if you don't have the correct settings, then you're not starting off on the right foot, really. And it just makes the game a lot harder. So, just going to click off this a sec. I'll go over here. So, if you go to settings, so you click options, you want to go down to settings, down here like this to settings, and you'll be greeted by this screen. Now, the first thing you'll come across is infantry controls. Now, you want to, with infantry controls, you want to change it to cover. Now, the first thing you do, change it to cover. So, the reason why this is purely for this reason, and it's to duck like this. Now, you use the R3 button to duck. Now, when you're aiming down sight, it can be really hard to duck at the same time. The reason why you do this is to avoid headshots. Obviously, headshots do a 2x multiplier. So if you're aiming for headshots and you duck, you might just miss 1 or 2 bullets, which is obviously a 2x. Obviously, if you're going against stuff like the Gorsaw, missing headshots is important. Obviously, if you're going across someone with the Gorsaw, ducking every so often is a good thing. So you change your infantry controls to cover. Now, you will notice that when you're in the screen, you back out, you'll end up knifing. So just be careful standing near allies, because you'll end up knifing. Obviously, it's not your fault, but sometimes it can't be helped. The way to get around that is when you're in the screen, if you click the map and then click out of the map, you will end up not knifing. So just throw that out there. Settings here. So now you want to change your ground vehicle settings to pedals. This is just because when you're in a light tank, the light tank will go everywhere if you use the analog stick. With pedals, it's actually more controllable. Aircraft controls. Now, I don't know anything about aircraft controls. I'm sure somebody can maybe shed some light on it, but again, I'm not an aircraft main, so I don't really know. I wanted to do a video about flying, but honestly, I just don't fly, and I feel like my information wouldn't be, there's already information out there, so there's no point in making a video on it. But aircraft controls, I have no idea. If anyone could maybe shed some light on that in the comments, that'd be great. Now, infantry controls, infantry settings, and aim settings. Now, with infantry settings, you want it, you should start off around 3.5 to 4. That's what I got told. Now, I play at 5, which is, I moved it up to 5 originally, just because I kind of got used to 5. I know people that have it max. I know people that have it at 1 and do really well. Now, you've got to realize with the infantry settings, if you have it at 1, say for example, you can turn pretty quick like this, but it actually gives you a lot worse hip fire. You've still got to hit fire. See how I'm overshooting? I mean, I'm not used to it anyway, but I'm just trying to give you, so here for example like this, gives you more mobility, but when you're trying to hip fire, you're trying to hip fire and aim for the head. So you can miss a ton. Now, it becomes more controllable when you put your hip fire down. Well, I call it hip fire, but infantry settings down. So when you got 3.5, you see how it's more controllable. See? Now, aiming down sight, you don't need to have low infantry settings for aiming down sight, but having good infantry settings, I feel, is important. Especially infantry settings like 3.5 to 4. I put mine at 5 and I do okay. I don't do the best, but I feel I do okay to get a few kills here and there. Aim sensitivity, again, So with aim sensitivity, I'm going to move over here because of these guys. Now, aim sensitivity, you want to have it so that you're able to track your target. So, for example, if you're shooting at this guy, it's easier really to snap onto the guy like this, rather than moving your sight across. But what I mean is, if somebody's flying in the sky, like jetpacking across the sky, or somebody's running across, you want to be able to follow them like that. But you don't want to have it so that you're overshooting, so you're not like spinning around in circles when you just go to, you know, move it a little bit. You want to be able to move it but not overshoot. You also don't want it too slow, because when you're tracking targets, you won't be able to track them fully. You'll be too slow. So with aim sensitivity, you really want to play around with what you feel is good, but don't have it too low and don't have it miles too high. I've been trying out 6, but I would recommend roughly around probably 4 or 5. With infantry sensitivity, you want it around 3.5 to 4. Gives you a lot more control. Now, you can't do backspins and friggin' backflips and all that shit. Because if you have a sensitivity of 1, like this, you can, you know, you could spin around and do all that shit. But does that shit really mean anything if you can't hit your target? You know, it's all right doing cartwheels and all the fancy stuff, but you're not going to be able to do anything. You know, you got it down here. You know, you can't spin around. It's a lot slower. But for me, it's more controllable. You know, I've still got the flexibility, but you know, I'm not too crazy. You know, I'm not moving around too crazy. It's kind of hard to explain, but that's how I see infantry sensitivity and aim sensitivity. That's what I think anyway. Scope sensitivity, I don't really have anything for that because I don't quick scope. I don't snipe in general. I have tried it in the past. Now, people have said to me, you keep your scope sensitivity low and you snap onto targets. Let me give you an example. So, what we got here, infiltrator. So, to quick scope, I don't really understand it too well, but you go like that. Sometimes you do it without looking down your sight, so you're not really looking, so like this. Now, when you're aiming down sight, it doesn't really matter too much. People tend to put their sensitivity really high, so they might put this up to 1. That gives them a lot more movement like this, and then they can snap onto people. It's something that you have to get used to, and I just don't play it, so I'm not going to talk too much into it. But I was always told to higher my sensitivity when playing sniper because it's a lot easier, and lower my sensitivity for infantry, like when you're using like the Gorsaw or using ARs or medic or whatever. So I was always told to higher it for snipers, sniper stuff, quick scoping, and then I was always told to lower it when I'm trying to get good hip fire, stuff like that. Turret sensitivity, I have that quite high just because I use an anti-infantry Mana turret. Again, you don't want it too high that you overshoot. But stuff like using, I think it comes under turret sensitivity for, I think it's for vehicles as well. So if you're using like Cobalt or something like that, it's a lot easier to use because your turret sensitivity is higher. If you've got it really low, you're going to struggle a lot more to lock onto targets. When you've got a vehicle sensitivity thing that's really high, you can go between targets a lot easier, and movement is generally easier. Now driver sensitivity, I have that at max. I don't think it really matters too much. I mean, I used to have driver sensitivity low because I used to use the light tank and I would be driving it everywhere. I'd be crashing into friendlies, I'd be knocking over the Mingvars. You know how it is. But when you set your infantry controls to pedals, it does make it a lot more easier. So recently I've had driver settings quite high. Flight sensitivity. Now, flight sensitivity for me, I got told to keep it around 5 or 6, whatever you're comfortable with. There was a guy that had it around 7, who I spoke to, and he really gets on with that. He feels he can kill targets. Flight sensitivity is like barrel rolling, stuff like that, I think. But again, just play around with what you feel is good. Just going to turn that off. But yeah, play around with what you feel is good. You know, if you can have it higher, have it higher. Come into VR and just test it. I would, like with any sensitivity, start low and work your way up. You know, add it up a bit at a time. So one day you might be at 6, the next day you might be at 6.5, you know, 0.65. And then after a few days of that, you might think, oh, I'll go up. So you put it up to 7. You know, it's not just about, oh, I'm at 5. Oh, I'm just going to bang it right up at 8. Because you're not going to get used to the sensitivity, and it's going to be everywhere. And you're just going to lose a ton of, and you're just going to think, oh, that was a waste of time. Like putting it up to 7, I'll knock it down. Gradually put it up and get used to it. So vibration, I have them off. Toggle zoom, I have it off. Crouch toggle, I have that on because obviously I want to crouch. Sprint toggle is on, and inverted. I keep these off. Invert tank reverse steering, I keep that on. I don't think any of these really matter too much. They're not like game changing. Well, they might do if I'm just going to get rid of that. I don't know why it wants me to apply it. I'm just going to get rid of it anyway. It's probably because I changed the vibration thing, but anyway. Aim assist. Now, aim assist is a big one. I keep aim assist on sometimes, and sometimes I'll turn it off. Now, with aim assist, I always felt that it was good for 1v1s, but bad in... Well, the pop has actually got more busier now, so I probably should turn it off. But the issue with it is that it flicks to any target it can do, and it usually goes for body shots, which is also a bad thing. But generally it's okay if, for example, you're 1v1ing and you want to snap to people's kind of bodies or heads. It doesn't really snap to heads very well. It snaps more to the body. But for me, I sometimes use it with certain guns like the Gorsaw when I'm trying to actually hit shit, and it will direct me towards the person. But generally in big fights and vehicles and stuff like that, like if there's a Sunday, it will snap onto the Sunday. So for example, if I'm trying to hit a guy over here, it will generally take me towards the vehicle because the vehicle's a big target. And sometimes I'm not trying to go to the vehicle, I'm trying to go to the guy in question who I'm trying to kill, and sometimes it will be like going off up here somewhere, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? So it can be quite annoying, but it can also be quite rewarding depending on what you're using it for. Like for inside a building, sometimes you can snap onto people and do really well that way. But generally, yeah, like I run it sometimes, and sometimes I'll turn it off. For vehicle gameplay, sometimes it's handy. If I'm in a tank and I'm shooting people, I don't know if it makes much of a difference, but when I'm trying to shoot at a tank using like a decimator, it actually snaps onto the tank for me. But the thing is, most of the time you want to do lob shots and not necessarily shoot straight at it, because the round will just go straight to the floor. So it's you've got to realize it's good and bad. It's good for certain situations. So play around with it, see what you think. Most of the people I know in my outfit turn it off. I have it on sometimes. Sometimes I turn it on. I've been having it on recently because I've been doing a ton of infantry. I'm trying to go from a heavier axe, so I've been doing a ton of infantry. Like mostly at Nation's Defiance. But generally, if I wasn't doing that, I'd probably turn it off. Because sometimes it can be annoying. Like, I went to decimate a guy the other day because I needed to get decimator kills. And it locked onto the vehicle next to him. And I ended up firing it past his head into the vehicle. And I'm like, oh my god, what the hell? Like, I have it locked on the guy as he's running at me. And then it just goes to the side. It's kind of annoying, but you've just got to put up with it a little bit. But with the Gorsaw, sometimes I can find it hard to snap onto people, so I do use it for that sometimes. But it depends, it's situational, so just try it out. Show HUD chat. So show HUD chat is what you would have when people message it. Now I usually turn this off. Now I've got it on currently, but when I'm doing outfit related stuff, I'll turn it off. if I'm using mic chat. Now this is because there's a shit ton of BM in the game. Actually, to tell a lie, there's not that much anymore since a lot of the guys went to PC. But there's a lot of BM in the game, and it can affect you to the point where people leave, people quit the game. So for me, I just don't show HUD chat. I turn it off sometimes. Some people will message me, and they'll be like, "Oh, you blocked me now. Oh, you blocked. Oh, you don't want to do anything." It's just because I've turned the HUD chat off, and I just don't want nothing to do with it. I don't go around blocking everybody, but sometimes getting rid of HUD chat is the first step to playing, to keeping yourself sane while you're trying to play PlanetSide, because people keep BMing you, and it gets to you after a while. Open chat. I don't know what that means. I think that's the size of the chat. I think. I'm not too sure actually. Let me test it. I've never actually used this. Let me check. I guess so. I don't even know. I think that's the size of the chat. Really, but I'm not too sure. You got easy flight mode. You turn that off. These now easy flight. Just to clarify. Don't put that on. You're kind of wasting your time. I don't know what that does exactly, but I remember it used to be a hindrance to me, like years and years and years ago. So I got told to take it off, and I actually had a better experience flying. These are the faction colours. You want to play about with these if you want your faction to look different. If you don't want your faction to be blue, you could make it purple or something. Not that you would, because VS is purple, but you get what I mean. So just play about with these. Toggle UI on and off. I've talked about that in a previous video. That's to toggle off the... if you're taking a nice photo, you can just turn off your HUD like that, and there you go. I don't know why I don't do it personally, but that's what people do. I don't like doing it. Well, I do it for outfit photos, but I don't do it for no else. Fixed minimap. You can have a fixed minimap, so you can have it large or small, depending on what you're doing. I sometimes put it big and sometimes put it small. Just depends. Auto join squad on login. I don't really have this on. I think I had it on once, and it kept putting me in random squads that I didn't want anything to do with, so I turned it off. Now I'll have to agree that there isn't many squads out there, many good squads, and if they are, they're probably not open squads. They're probably closed. So joining a random squad on entry is probably not going to get you anywhere. I would usually ask in faction chat if there's any squads going, if I was going to join a random squad or something, or I would start my own squad. But yeah, so show health numbers. You can turn this on, and if you look at somebody, you can see the numbers. So if they have 1,000 health, for example, it would say 900 health if they only had 900. It does make it a lot easier to identify people if you're a medic or something, see how much health they have. So audio, this is just, I don't know, I just don't use these that often. Now I did turn them down just because master volume, I had to turn that down. I had that at max. Now my ears were killing me earlier because there was a guy trying to talk, and I was in the middle of a gunfight and I could not hear him, and he was shouting really loud. I kept telling him to speak up, speak up, speak up, and he's shouting. Oh man, it gave me a headache. So I turned the master volume down, and then I actually could hear him a little bit. Well, I turned the sound effects volume down a little bit, and then I tested it with the master volume down. But I'm not sure if that works like if it works for the mic chat. But I turned my mic chat up, and then turned the volume down in the game, just so I could hear. But yeah, that's that. So you got video here now. Brightness, so I always have max brightness, just because most of the time I can't see what I'm doing if it's dark in game, because the dark is really dark. I used to have it like 8 like this, but I recently put it up to 9 because the sun was shining on my screen today on my TV, so I was like, can't see a damn thing, and it was dark, so made it even worse. You got vertical field of view. Now this is an important one for infantry mains. Now if you have a vertical field of view at max, you will see that it goes max. It like has a longer distance. Now I keep it around 68, just because I'm used to the recoil of the guns. Now you could put this at max, and you can have better recoil on your guns. This is because like the field of view is like wider, I guess. The more you put it up, or is it short? No, it's wider. So yeah, it just gives you better recoil. So what I'll try to show you an example. So if, for example, get this on. So as you can see there, he looks like a dot in the distance. Now, if you go into settings and go across to vertical field of view, now I could narrow this right down. So let me have a look. So let me put it right down to like, I don't know, the lowest. So as you can see now, he is definitely not a dot in the distance. But my recoil has gone AWOL. As you can see. Now, if you put it maximum, so wait for it to go up. So yeah, if you put it maximum, your guns actually become better recoil, but the targets are further away, like this. As you can see, I'm definitely not going into the sky anymore, as I was. A lot of stuff is either is further away as well. So try and put it at max if you want low recoil. Now you have to realise that some of them are really far out. Some of the people, I have it around 68. That was just because somebody mentioned it in a live stream and said they have 68. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to copy them, and I've just kind of kept it at 68 ever since. But I don't know what the actual I don't know what the decent render distance is. Just play about with it and see what you think. You could do /FOV for vertical field of view, and you could type in 1000 and it just breaks the game. I mean, don't try it, but if you type in FOV / whatever, so because before the vertical field of view came, you had to set your own vertical field of view. So you could have /FOV and then you could have 68, and it would set it at 68. Before it was set to a set one, and you couldn't change it. So at least they added this in the game, which is nice. So use global render distance. So that's like a set render distance. I'm not going to turn that on, but you could turn that on and preset. Actually, you can turn it on, but actually, yeah. So here you go. So you got global render distance. So that's like a basic render distance. Now I turn this off and set my own distance. So for infantry gameplay, I tend to have it at 300. For vehicle render distance, I have it around 2100. And air render distance, I have it at 3000. Now you should have these really low technically, but I don't really give a crap. People have said you get more frames the lower they are. Now I put my infantry render distance at 300 just because I've been doing infantry gameplay non-stop. But again, I mean, the thing is with this, like infantry render distance at 300, you can't see things that are far away, like tanks, and then all of a sudden a tank will just come into view, like randomly. You'll be like, oh shoot, like I can see something shooting in the distance, and I'm getting shells fly over my head, but I can't see what the hell it is. So yeah, but it makes the game run better when you have a lower render distance as well. It just makes things a lot smoother. So they recently added a colorblind filter, and you got filter amount. I don't know anything about that because I'm not colorblind, but it's good for people. I mean, they added it in. It was a nice change for people that are struggling. So yeah. So here, just let me. So just check. So you got VChat here. Now VChat is the voice chat. Now the voice chat is the most annoying thing since sliced bread, and everybody hates it. But we have to use it because we've got nothing else. Now you've got enable voice. You've got proximity chat. So I'm just going to go briefly talk about these. So enable voice. You need to put that on in order to chat on the mic. Toggle proximity chat. Now proximity chat means that you can talk to the people around you. Now if you go up on the keypad, so the touchpad, so like this, so you could probably you've got proximity chat and outfit chat. Now if I was in a squad chat, I could put squad chat as well, but I'm not in a squad. But if you go back to VChat, so you can enable proximity. Now I sometimes turn proximity off just because people play music down their mic and it's kind of annoying. It gives you a headache. So with that, you know, I turn it off sometimes. You've got proximity chat there. Usually I turn it down to 0. Because I interact with a lot of new players, I keep proximity chat on generally when I can, because I go into proximity chat, and if people are struggling to get to the main game or just struggling in general, I'll just talk in proximity and I'll try and say, hey, look, do you need a bit of help or whatever? Because the thing is with this game, it has no tutorial, so people are just lost. So proximity chat has probably been my go-to for years, but recently people have been playing music down it, so I try and turn it off sometimes, but it's kind of a balance. So you've got master chat volume, and you've got squad chat volume. So this is obviously the master chat for all these. I generally turn proximity chat off when I'm not using it. Squad chat volume I turn to max because I'm always in squad. Platoon chat volume I got 60 because sometimes people are quite loud and I'm trying to listen. It can be quite tough. You've got outfit channel volume. That's for outfit, so I have that at max because I'm either in outfit or squad chat most of the time. It's very rare that I'm in platoon chat. And you've got mute inactive channels. I don't actually know what that means. I don't know what inactive channels are, but I just turn it off anyway. So that's roughly a guide to the controls. I hope it gives you some idea of how to set your controls up for PlanetSide. I did a video quite a while ago talking about controls, and I just thought I'd do another one just to keep everyone updated. I just do this off my own back. I'm not interested in subscribers, so don't subscribe. I'm not interested in any of that. I'd like to make PlanetSide busy again, but I don't think it's going to be me that does it. It's going to be a joint effort from people with outfits and obviously the dev team putting in work to bring more updates. People were saying Osha's coming soon, tomorrow in fact, but I doubt that it will come. I think it will reset for another 30 days, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyway guys, I'll leave it there and I'll see you soon. Take care.